Hi, and welcome to me and my bass. Today I like to talk a bit about how and why I did manage to get this Charvel Pro-Mod San Dimas PJ, and also a little bit history about this bass. Let's go back for a minute to September 2021, where I bought a Fender player jazz bass, which was almost new, from a guy who lived in a converted church in Hilversum. Strange location, but great bass. But 1.5 years later, I decided I got too much jazz basses, Squire, Fender, other brands, that I wouldn't shed a tear when parting from that bass. Again, it was a excellent bass. I couldn't complain about anything, but once I get it in my head that it could go, the ad was made and the bass was put up for sale. A couple of days or weeks later, I can't really remember how long that took. I got a message from someone who asked me if I was willing to trade my Fender for a Charvel Pro-Mod San Dimas PJ. As I am a massive fan of these 80s basses, which you could see every time you watched a hard rock metal video show, and particularly the Jacksons, ESPs, and of course the Charvels. So we did a trade in front of Central Station in Amsterdam. I hope he's still happy. I think this bass is great. The fun part, of course, is that this bass doesn't have a typical 80s pointed headstock, but looks like what Charvel would do when they start making or converting bass guitars in the beginning of their career, trying different necks on different bodies. So this bass has in fact a typical Charvel 80s body with a Fender neck. Another fun part is of course that the fact that a Charvel is bought in 2002 by Fender Musical Instruments Corporation. So what was the reason for Charvel making this bass?
The reproduction, or more accurately, the modern reissue and reimagining, of the Charvel Pro-Mod San Dimas PJ4 boils down to a mix of brand heritage, modern market demand, and Fender's, Charvel's parent company, strategy to capture the hot rod bass market. Historically, Charvel was famous for its high-performance, modified guitars and basses coming out of Southern California in the late 1970s and 1980s. While their guitars remained iconic, their original basses became rare, sought-after cult classics. Charvel brought the San Dimas bass back to their lineup for several specific reasons. 1. Tapping into throwback DNA and nostalgia. The original late 70s and 80s Charvel San Dimas basses are highly collectible. By introducing the Pro-Mod PJ4, Charvel directly tapped into that vintage aesthetic. They kept the original, sleek alder body shape with the distinctly deeper cutaways that gave old-school players better access to the higher frets. They also brought back the classic DiMarzio pickups, Model P and Model J, that gave the original instruments their distinct, aggressive punch. 2. High-performance hot rod features for modern players. Traditional basses, like standard Fender Precisions or Jazzes, are great, but there is a massive market for boutique or supercharged instruments. Charvel loaded this reissue with modern, player-centric upgrades that weren't available decades ago: the speed neck, a super thin maple neck with rolled fingerboard edges and a compound radius, 12-16, that flattens out as you go higher up the neck. It's built for fast, effortless playing. Caramelized maple. The necks undergo a baking/roasting process that removes moisture, making the wood incredibly stable against weather changes while giving it a gorgeous, broken-in look. Gig-ready hardware, features like a heel-mount truss rod adjustment will, no more taking the neck off to adjust it, luminous side dots that glow in the dark on dim stages, and a heavy high-mass bridge for extra sustain. 3. Tonal versatility. The active/passive hybrid. While vintage basses were strictly passive, modern bassists demand versatility. The Pro-Mod PJ4 features a 3-band active EQ, but it includes a master volume knob with a push/pull selector. If your battery dies mid-gig, or if you just want that classic, raw, passive 80s rock tone, you can pull the knob to completely bypass the active preamp circuit. 4. Filling a market gap for Fender. Fender owns Charvel, Jackson, and EVH. While Fender covers the traditional and vintage reissue markets, and Jackson covers the extreme heavy metal crowd, the Charvel brand is perfectly positioned for the fusion, hard rock, and session player demographic. Reintroducing a premium feeling, high-spec bass at a mid-tier price point, around $1,000, allowed them to compete directly with brands like Ibanez, Spectre, and Schecter. In short, Charvel reproduced the San Dimas PJ4 because it allows modern players to get the iconic look and legendary punch of a rare, modified 70s/80s classic, but with the bulletproof stability and slick playability of a 21st century instrument.
I mentioned it already in another video, is the fact that I find it rather strange that on the back of this headstock is a sticker which says the guitar headstock is registered a trademark of Fender Musical Instrument Corporation and is being used with express permission from Fender Musical Instruments. Charvel is Fender, and these basses are made in the same factory as the Mexican-made Fender models. So they gave themselves permission to use their own headstock? Okay. Only because it says Charvel here on front? I don't know. Strange. Okay, time for some audio. Let's take another listen of this bass.
Of course, the guy can't play.
Okay, that's it. It's in fact maybe not that spectacular story-wise, but I love this bass and I love to talk about this one. So, if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Until next time, see you. Bye-bye.